The major ingredients, the major elements of international politics is alliance formation.
So is it a curse or a blessing to us?
Alliance is in international politics is a blessing in so many ways, and in some ways a blessing in the sense that the country you form alliance with might be your shade in terms of security.
Right.
US is the one holding their security umbrella. You can't dare touch any country within the European Union.
So Richard,
and US don't come after you. So if US have promised that they will give you that security umbrella and you will be free from other countries from attacking you, you can see some other countries, weaker countries who don't have brain to say they want to stand on their own in terms of military might.
So I ask you again,
yes,
is it a blessing or a curse to us?
It's a curse in one way and it's a blessing in another way. Why is India not taking that part? Why is China not taking that part?
Is it a curse because India is not taking the part?
No. It's a curse because you are not standing up to be strong in the military angle. You are not standing up to use your brain to be strong in economic angle. We have everything that will make us great in Nigeria economically. It's just the mindset and the willpower to harness these resources within the US. They don't have anything different from, we have more than they have.
Let us begin this conversation first taking a quote from Henry Kissinger, who once said, "America has no permanent friends or enemies, only interest." And that's the same thing for even anywhere in the world, be it Nigeria or being in Africa. Like they always say in politics, there are no friends, no permanent foes, just interest. All right, my next quote will be from Thomas Jefferson, who once said, "Peace, commerce, and honest friendship with all nations, entangling alliances with none." Absolutely spot on. And my last one will be from Rory Stewart, who once said, "The question shouldn't be what we ought to do, but what we can do." Absolutely spot on. Now let's see how this quote relates to what we'll be discussing tonight. Very warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We're reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabel Orji. Tonight we'll turn our attention to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. Nigeria's economy, since his administration, we are already clocking 1 year. In May 29, we should be 1 year to this administration. So we're looking at the economy, we're looking at security, we're looking at foreign policy, how this administration has been able to push or buffer any of these sectors all through their 1 year of being in that this administration. My guest on the show tonight is Richard Oriri, who is a politician. And the reason why we're bringing this conversation, especially for those who watched us this morning on The Press, was because The Press does not give you enough time to talk about some things. He made some statements and I told him, I will remind you again. Let me quote you. You said, unquote, "Fuel subsidy is gone."
Yes.
That is Tinubu's administration playing to the cards of the US. That's what you said.
It's neoliberal policy, and it's a concept designed by US and these Western countries. NATO.
So that's me reminding him. Welcome to the show, Richard Oriri.
It's my pleasure for inviting you.
Great, welcome. All right, now let's first of all, before we start talking about all that we said during the press this morning, let's start with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. We're looking at one, even though some persons will say it's not yet 1 year, but it's just a few days before it gets to 1 year. But some other persons will say you know what the weekend will look like from at least Thursday or Friday. So is it since we're already here on this is 7th of May, and we're still looking at least over 20 days before we can now say yes, they have clocked 365 days. How far so far would you say their 1 year has been?
Thank you, Annabel, for inviting me, and good evening, Nigerians. Like you said, from one of the greatest Indian that I respect so much, Henry Kissinger, that you quoted. I will say that the administration so far, he has not done badly, but he has done badly. We can't rate him so well in some areas, like in terms of foreign policy and like I said, Henry Kissinger. He was one of the greatest men that I respect so much in India, in China, I mean, in China. He positions China the way they are today now. Xi Jinping picked from his policies, foreign policies. And during his time, he studied America so well. Just like he said that America have no permanent enemy. All they have is permanent interest. And yes, America in those days, they were trying to see how India will channel their policies towards the West and possibly becoming a democratic nation. So America picked interest in India, in China, trying to see how they will make China very vibrant. And Henry Kissinger, he pushes Chinese citizens. In that period was the boom of youth, the population of China. The youthful age was so high. So Kissinger pushed so much Chinese citizens to U.S. and some other Western.
That's when he was the former U.S. Secretary of State.
Henry Kissinger.
Right.
Yes. He pushes China to U.S. for training. He pushes them for training, serious training in different sectors, thinking China will buy into the Western ideology. But at the end, after the training, the whole Chinese people, they pull down to their own country. And that is why you see China the way they are today now, the training they have gotten from the Western, and that is why US is so unhappy with China today. And coming down to Nigeria, the present administration, from the very day of the swearing in of President Tinubu, from that particular time, we know some of us who are foreign in the international politics, students of international politics, we saw clearly the handwriting of the Western ideology in place through the instrumentality of this neoliberal policy, by the way of because he came on board and said this subsidy was removed. He said subsidy is gone, and today's subsidy was gone. And the expectation from that particular point in time was that if he is coming to power, is to come and implement about the 10 policies, 12 policies of this neoliberal ideology, meaning there will be so much poverty in the land. Because when they said you have to privatize your economy, you have to open the economy for foreign investors, yes, that is good. And again, channeling what you have, public resources that you have been channeling into subsidy to primary healthcare, primary education, the infrastructure. That one will now give proper platform for capitalists to take over your economy. And the moment capitalists take over your economy, the existing structure will suffer a lot, and there will be job lost. There will equally be high rate of unemployment, and which is all that we have been experiencing from the very day that he came on board. And so, are you saying that capitalism has taken over the economy, Nigeria? Over the Nigerian economy, and neoliberal policy is not proper for an environment for a country like Nigeria. We have our history different from the West. We have our culture different from the West, and just picking a concept designed by someone in the West, especially America, the United States of America now, just picking their concept. If you are implementing someone else's concept, there's no how you will do it the way he or she have it in mind that it will be. But when you are implementing your own personal idea, your concept that you design in line with the culture of your society, with the tradition of your people, that is when you will get it right. But just picking someone's ideology and then dropping it, throwing it on the people like this is where we are today. And because of that, there's so much job lost. We don't have a proper electricity. Tariff has gone high. So price of food and many subsidy removed. Tax is high. There's so much tax in almost everything that we use in this country. The other day, DSTV, they have increased their tariff and nobody is questioning them. The continued rise in tax payment to DSTV. Nobody that is representing the masses in this country is questioning that. And once you recharge your DSTV today, at the end of the month, either whether you use it or you don't use it, it will go. And if you go to South Africa, it's not like that. The South Africa that owns DSTV. If you go to South Africa, once you recharge, you pay as you go. But in Nigeria, because of the exploitative nature of the Western ideology, through the use of, we are in the capitalist economy, we are practicing capitalist economy. So is the administration so far so good? It's not too good for the citizens. And if you look at our foreign policy, meaning the administration have not even thought it wise to see that we need to be part of the international political thinkers. Nigeria have not done anything seriously in the international arena. We are not part of a global political decision-making body, because for 1 year now, I can take it to 1 year. I can calculate it to be 1 year. For 1 year now, Nigeria, no part of this world that Nigeria have a representative called ambassador.
Okay, I'll allow you to talk about that first, but I need you to clear something a statement you just made. You said Nigeria is practicing capitalism, but we all knew it to be a mixed economy. Little of capitalism and
neoliberal policy is a capitalist.
Socialism.
Neoliberal policy is a capitalist. It's a capitalist policy designed by capitalist nation like US.
At what point did we start practicing new liberalism in Nigeria?
You will see it even from the time of Buhari. Buhari came, don't you see? Buhari came, he said the NNPC should be privatized. It's a neoliberal, they call it a Washington consensus policy, economic policy. And another name for it is neoliberalism. So this neoliberalism, and that is why you see Nigeria will keep depending on the Western nation.
Okay, so again, I'll ask you, are we
taking loan every time? That policy is designed to make the particular country that is practicing it to be so much dependent on the West.
Okay, so I've heard this argument over and over, and yes. I will bring it again. Nick, I will ask you that question again. Is Nigeria practicing capitalism or mixed economy?
It's not. I can't. From what is going on presently, it's a capitalist state. Nigeria is a capitalist state run by real capitalists. Our NEPA, our power sector is being privatized in the hands of politicians. Everything is run by capitalists. Common NNPC, Nigerian Petroleum Corporation, before that is a public enterprise. Now they have turned it to be private enterprise, privatized. Subsidy that was in the oil sector removed. They say they are going to channel it to primary education and primary healthcare and infrastructure. So it's from the policy on ground. We are practicing clear capitalism in the country, and it's not good for. Look at. I was talking about a foreign arrangement, the foreign policy of Nigeria. the foreign policy, every country of the world, that they are looking at geopolitics. Look at geopolitics is why you see Russia and Ukraine fighting. Russia is not saying that they are fighting Ukraine. Russia is saying that they are fighting the West. They are fighting America and NATO nations, NATO countries. What is the reason? Because Russia was the father of a Soviet Union. And since after the disintegration of Soviet Union, the world sees Russia as a powerless country. And again, if Russia should allow US to take over Ukraine from them, that is territorial integrity. Ukraine is part of Russia. And you cannot come from the West to tell you are taking Ukraine out of their own environment. Russia, once Russia allow US to succeed in making Ukraine to be a democratic state, a practicing democracy, meaning their power will keep depleting. And even other smaller countries around that Asian country, Asian part, will lose confidence, will lose trust in Russia. Most of the smaller countries there, they are depending on Russia because they see that they can be supported. If any other country come to fight them, that Russia will protect them. If US succeed in pressing Russia down by taking Ukraine away, US will not have that loyalty, that trust, that confidence will be shifted from Russia to US. So some other smaller countries within that zone, who originally from the beginning are part of the Soviet Union, they will now shift their loyalty to US in the West. And that will not be good for Russia. And that is what Russia is doing, everything to ensure that Ukraine is not taken away. And this crisis will keep lingering. And US is seeing it now that if they don't support Ukraine to succeed in the war, their own hegemonic influence across the world now will deplete. And some other countries that have that hope, that confidence in them, because of recent, some other countries have joined NATO. And there are too many other countries again who are still hanging their hope of joining NATO to see what will come out will be the result of this Ukraine and Russia war. So,
Mr. Richard,
yes.
Now bring it to Nigeria.
Bringing it to
for
Nigeria.
That our viewer that does not understand Russia, Ukraine says, okay, how does that even concern?
Bringing it to Nigeria, these countries now, this Russia and the US that I'm telling you about, what they are playing, the politics they are playing is geopolitics. That is international politics. In the international arena, it is an open field. No particular country have the superpower, say you are the head. Every country struggle for power. That every country struggle for power. So as every country struggle for power, you struggle for power for your survival. And now Nigeria is not even looking at that geopolitics within the African sub-region to be in control, to be in charge, protecting the rest of the African countries from external influence. So many other countries, even US, look at Nigeria that should be seeing itself as the giant and father of Africa, taking protection of other.
Are we seeing ourselves, or we are?
We should be seen as the giant of Africa, taking possession of the control of the entire African nation. We are not even looking at that direction, but America that have captured the entire Europe, they are the one now capturing the whole Nigeria that should be the father of Africa, meaning the rest of the African countries, they have lost confidence and trust in Nigeria that they can't manage, they can't control them. They are not even safe in the hand of Nigeria. If Nigeria itself is seeing itself as a country that is not safe, that is running for safety under the umbrella of America. So with our our foreign policy is zero for this administration. Foreign policy arrangement of this country is zero. We are not even placing ourselves in a perspective that we should be seen.
Are you saying with all of these summits that they've been attending, whether the one in Qatar, the one in US, the one in Abu Dhabi, are you saying still we're not there yet? We're not doing anything yet.
What gain? What gain meeting that you attend, they are mostly they are attending these meetings just for they call it DTA, duty travel tour. How do they even call it? That allowance that they pay them. DTA, duty travel tour. How they say where they put it. All this foreign trip that they are going is just merely to make something out of it. What really have we benefited from these foreign travels? Like the vice president was supposed to be in US. If we have ambassador, what would the vice president be going to US to do? Our ambassador will represent Nigeria, will represent our interests, representing our president in that summit or in that program that they are going to hold in America, in US. So, but now that we don't have no single ambassador that this current administration have appointed for almost 1 year, we don't have ambassador. Nigeria is the only country today that have no ambassador across the world, and that we don't have ambassador, meaning that the current administration have no interest in our foreign policy. The foreign policy of this administration is zero. To be frank, to me, the way I look at it as an international political student is zero.
So, for almost 365 days, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been traveling with his entourage, whether the ministers or the DG of various MDAs or departments and agencies. I'm trying to quote you now.
Yes.
For almost 365 days, they have been traveling to all of these countries, all of these summits, whether the G20 summit or all of that, just because they are looking for duty travel allowance. Is that what you are saying?
What I am telling you is that it's just for formality, because we have not gained anything from all this traveling. The country, as a country, we have not gained anything. What have we gained? How many companies that we have seen new in Nigeria coming to invest in this country from this traveling? What are they gain? That is my question. And if you really want to see a country that is serious in international politics, international relation is not about just going for summit, going to sit. You are going there to project the interests of your country. Every of your argument, every of your negotiation is about the country. But what are we negotiating? What are our leaders negotiating to benefit the country on our behalf? We have not seen. Who is even negotiating on our behalf now in the international arena? We don't have, because we don't have one single ambassador. The foreign affairs minister can't do that. The foreign affairs minister's office is in Nigeria here. We have citizens across the world. We have embassies across the world. And what happens to our citizens outside the country? No one take it serious. No one is saying anything. No, we don't even know what is happening to our citizens outside the country. Who will our citizens grow to report to have shared of defense? No ambassador. So from the fact that this administration have not even appointed ambassador for almost a year, shows clearly how we don't take foreign policy serious.
All right. I was actually looking for the paper where this morning, one of the headlines that we took, I was actually looking for where I saw it, but I'm sure I'm going to find it before we finish, where you have the presidency stating that in the last 1 year, they were replying Atiku Abubakar, who was talking about the Lagos Coastal Highway. And when he talked about investment, that this administration is trying to dwindle investment portfolio, especially foreign direct investment. And then the presidency came out to reply, saying that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been able in the last 1 year to get as much as $20,000 in investment in Nigeria. And the first question that came to my mind is, where are this money? But let me ask you, Richard Oriri, do you think, because I hear you say with all of this was just for DTA and there's nothing to show for it, but the presidency is saying that they've gotten up to $20,000.
IMF, World Bank, they are tools used by America to impoverish other countries. Neoliberal policy is meant for a country, developing countries, to be depending on the West. And this 20 million US dollar or 20 billion US dollar that you are talking about is a ploy to tie Nigeria to the US ideology. And that is what has happened. It's a ploy to tie Nigeria to the US ideology, to the Western ideology.
How so?
Eh?
How so?
That is the arrangement. Washington consensus arrangement, which is neoliberal policy arrangement of the West. That is the idea. They will make you to be poor, that you will run to them to take loan. See India of yesterday. India is giving loans, giving aids, not just loan, aids to countries within its zone, countries of influence within its zone. India and China, they are both they belong to Asian. They are the Asian tigers now. India and China. These geopolitics that they are playing.
All right.
Now, in terms of military spending, last year, China is the second largest country that have the highest military spending in the world after US. Okay,
so we are going to talk about military later. That's when we go on the break and then come back. But I've actually found the paper that's on Blueprint newspaper that says Tinubu-led administration attract 20 billion US dollar in 1 year. That's coming from the presidency because they're accusing the former vice presidents of being an hypocrite and bad politics. But now, because you talked about the IMF and World Bank, I'm going to ask you, what is the benefit of having the IMF and the World Bank to our favor? Because if you have to talk about the loans, aside from the loans that we've been getting all this while, what is the benefit and what is the disadvantage of Nigeria working without these bodies?
See, I just mentioned China and India. China basically, they hardly take loan. They hardly tie themselves to their economic arrangement to IMF or World Bank. They have their regional bank that they run to for safety and for survival. Once you tie yourself to World Bank and IMF, you are a slave to the Western ideology. And yes, it's good to have relationships, to have build alliance.
And are you saying that it's bad to collect loans?
It's not good now to collect loans. Even as an individual, if you go to the bank to collect loan, you become their puppet. You become they can talk to you anyhow. They can do they can even give you, before you even take the loan, they will give you terms and conditions that will make you to be so tied to them that you will not even be free. It's another avenue of colonization.
But I hear some economic think tanks say that it's not bad to take loans. The only bad part is not repaying or being able to repay.
See, it's bad to even think of taking loan. A country like Nigeria, how can we take loan? And we are still shouting and crying that we want to be part of a UN Security Council. From Africa, the whole of Africa, we don't have one country that is among UN Security Council. India is still struggling till tomorrow to join. But for the fact that China is there already, China has been blocking India. And it's all about geopolitics. That is how foreign international politics is being played. China don't want India to be part of UN Security Council. It's just basically because of geopolitics, not that India doesn't have the strength. Oh, wow. US is in support of India to be part of it. Britain, they are in support of India to be part of it. Even Singapore, they are in support of India to be part of it. But China says no. France, they are in support of India. But China is refusing. Nigeria, if you want to be seen to be strong economically, before you are seen to be a powerful country in the international arena, you must have a strong economic base. And your military base must be very strong. Military-wise, we are not strong. We don't have power, military power. We don't have economic power. And we are struggling to be part of Economic Council of United Nations. So if we are running to World Bank to IMF for assistance, financial assistance. What makes you strong? So India is positioning itself that they are very strong. Now that they are strong. And that is why you see they're even giving aids to countries within their territory. Nigeria, how many countries within Africa zone that were even giving aid of even 2 billion naira or 1 billion naira assisting them? And we say we are the father of Africa, this
giant of Africa.
We are the giant of Africa. We are not even assisting no African country that can rely so much on Nigeria as a father for survival. And that is why you see the majority of African countries running after these Western countries, running after France, running after Russia, running after US, running after Britain, leaving Nigeria here. They don't even think whether Nigeria exists again because we are not taking the responsibility to play our role.
In one word, before we go on this break, are you saying that Nigeria is no longer the big brother of Africa?
Nigeria is no longer the big brother of Africa. That is from every political angle, from all the indices of international politics. Nigeria is no longer the big brother of Africa.
Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation with Richard Oriri, who is a politician. I will see you later. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is the conversation reaching you from KAFTAN's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you've actually missed out on the first part of the show, but then you can still join us again, as my guest on the show today is Richard Oriri, who is a politician. And before we went on that break, his last statement is that Nigeria is no longer the big brother of Africa. I will bring that question back to you again. Richard Oriri, Nigeria, we all grew up to hear that we are the giant of Africa, we are the big brother of Africa. But in all of my years, this is the first time I'm hearing that Nigeria is no longer the big brother of Africa, and that's your own opinion. Why do you make such opinion? I mean, not looking at the international, like the foreign countries. Let's look at African countries.
When I was growing up, primary school, secondary school, we were taught about Nigeria, Africa, the centerpiece of Nigerian foreign policy. Africa, the centerpiece of Nigerian foreign policy. That is to say, what happens to any country in Africa happens to Nigeria.
Right.
So the foreign policy of Nigeria is, the major interest of Nigerian foreign policy is centered on African interests first. You first of all take the African interest far, far, far above any other country's interest. Just like you take your interest first above every other interest. Just like you take the interest of your nation, the value system of your country first above every other interest. That is how Africans' interest was the number one interest of Nigeria, being the giant of Africa when we were growing up. And we saw it in those days in that direction. And that was when African Union was so strong. Well, that was when we have the coming together of African presidents so strong. And in the time of the Muammar Gaddafi, the time of so many other giant African presidents that were in existence those days, make Africa so strong. But today, whether it was because it happened in the military era, the military regime, that we saw it to be like that. But now, from 1999 to date, as we are, 1999 to 2007, and so, like then, the union, the coming together of African countries is a bit better. But today, the thing is diminishing. It's diminishing so high. Like from the day this newly elected president of the country
Senegal.
Of Senegal, that young boy below the age of 45 that was elected president, from that since after his inauguration, we have not seen him around Nigeria.
Isn't it too early in the day?
Ordinarily, that if Nigeria is taking that responsibility so serious, you will see other presidents within African region run. That boy should have been here to seek advice from our president and to see how the relationship will be. But if from every indication, even in our own home, Once you are not taking your responsibility to your children serious, they run away from you.
So if you're talking about responsibility,
yes,
why should the newly elected president of Senegal, that's Faye, why should he leave immediately and start visiting other countries, especially Nigeria, to seek for advice when he should be looking at solving his immediate problem first?
Before he came on
Isn't that why he was elected?
Before he came on board, he knew already what the problems were. And he knew already how he will go about tackling the problem. But he cannot succeed without alliances. With countries, let's say if Nigeria is taking the big brother role, he can come. Seek advice, how are we succeeding here? And this is my thinking in this direction. And what do I do? As a father first, he's like a son. He should be like a son to our president. A son, far son to our president. And in that manner, he can run to him. Say, Daddy, how do I go about this? How do I go about it? Even if he know what he will do already, he can come to seek advice. But Nigeria have not taken that role so serious. And I will plead that our current administration, I respect President Tinubu so much. I respect him so much. But he should not be too over-aligning himself with the US ideology. Yes, we are practicing democracy. Just like we were colonized by China, by Britain. In India, colonized by Britain. India is not too aligning with America. The same way they are not too over aligning with even Britain. That they were colonized by Britain does not mean Britain have so right to recolonize them with idea. So they are now thinking inward. Even presently, now India is designing democracy in their own way, the way it will suit them. India, they have set up the research institute in India. The president has mandated them to think inward and come up with a blueprint on how democracy should be for India, in the interest of India, not the way of Britain. Britain, they are practicing parliamentary. India, they are practicing parliamentary but partial, we call it we call it a secular democracy, because it's a mixture of they have the highest number of religious group in India, the same way they have the highest number of ethnic group in India, like we have in Nigeria. So the motive is that yes, this ethnic group, they are there, a religious group, they are there. But what is the most important thing, the major value of India is that everyone is equal. You take religion aside, you take ethnicity aside, and look at the national interest. So you value every person equal. So they are designing democracy in their own way. Nigeria equally, we should be designing our own democracy in our own way. Even the Britain that colonized us, we are not running after them like we are running after America.
So are you saying that
America, their interest is what they take from you and how to make you their puppet.
All right. So Richard, are you saying that for over 2 decades of democracy, we have not been able to design the kind of democracy that we want to have? We're still copying.
We have not been able to design the kind of democracy we started with parliamentary system. That was when Nnamdi Azikiwe and Nnamdi Azikiwe was a ceremonial president in those days. And we later changed to unicameral. And that's where we are now. And now they are even saying we should go back. The current National Assembly, they are even suggesting that we should go back to parliamentary.
That this one is too expensive.
That this one is too expensive. No one that is not expensive. There's no one that is not expensive. So now our culture is different. Our history is different. Those are major things that you put into consideration before you run a government that serves the people. We cannot be running government that serves the West or serve external body. The government is for citizens, it's for us here in the country.
But
isn't, look at the life of our people first.
Isn't all of that just lip service? Because can you ever have, especially the African countries, especially the global north, can you ever have that shift away from that mentality of the global north and the global south? Because I'll give you an example. If you look at the kind of reportage that comes out from the international news medias, when it comes to their own reports, they want to give a report of what happened, mass stabbings in around their area. They don't do it to spoil their country. Yes. They're still patriotic. But when they want to talk about, I'm not going to mention their name, one particular international media house that you already know, anything they want to talk about is terrorism. And if they want to talk about the terrorism happening in African countries, they blow it out of proportion. Now, we ourselves, we are also our problem sometimes. When we want to report such cases, you just hear of scores killed in one particular massacre in SYZ place. I saw a report this morning, or a headline this morning that says scores killed in Delta protests. Why do you have to report it that way when even they report in a way that they're still patriotic to their country?
That's why our Nigerian journalists, we have to change our mentality. National interest first before every other interest.
So that's what I'm asking. Can you ever leave that global south and global north, that's discrepancy that you always have, because they always be above you, because they have the leadership, they have the money, they have the technology.
Not just the money or technology, it's about the leadership, and it's about you having that patriotic mindset to do everything, both in thinking, in your speeches. You do it to serve the country, not to serve yourself, your family, your clan, your state, your friends, and your religion, like we do in this corner of the world. In the other side, they don't do politics, they don't do it like that. Even the media, they control media. If you go to Russia control media, and that is why they say they are autocratic. Every country that really wants to progress, you have to control the media. They say freedom of speech, freedom of this. Well, if ordinarily, if you put it straight here, I will tell you that Russia, they are a democratic nation because they conduct election like we conduct election here. That the election is not fair, or the election is marred with fraud. There is no country that have conducted election, even in US. That is not, that you can't see any coloration of fraud in it, or unfairness, unfair treatment of other opponents in any election. Russia conduct election. Even China, they conduct election. But they are socialist countries. They conduct election. That is to say they are practicing democracy as well. But you have to control the media. Even China, they control the media.
Is it control or regulate?
That is control. Media control come from government. You regulate them by way of policies. And that is control. You regulate them by way of policies.
But not gag the media.
Look at yesterday, just was it yesterday? Just not talk to 48 hours. Israel, they have shut down Al Jazeera.
Right.
They have shut down Al Jazeera. Even seized their equipment because they said they are preaching the way they are giving picturing the fight between Israel and Palestine, that is against their rule, that is against their national security. They shut it down, and they are a democratic country. You have to control the media the way they go. If it is going against the national interest of your country, especially national security, you don't dare do it. You don't do it. In Nigeria, we even use our media operators in this country. We use the media to even bring down our country. And this country will be there when all of us here now are no more here. The people who started this country, they are not here again. We are here. We might be even the 10th or how many 50 or 50th or 40th generation of those people that started the country. And we will still live. The country will be here. So the best thing we do is to position this country in a way and manner that our children will come and say our parents have done well.
All right.
So that's what is going on all over the world. Leaders put the interests of their country first, because what they are building, if they don't build it solid for the coming generations, it will be too difficult for them to come and amend.
All right, let's talk about, because I said we're going to definitely talk about the military part of it. Now, this story about forming a military base in Nigeria, either the French or the US military base, you have it on all this, all the papers this morning. Blueprint says no plan to have foreign military base in Nigeria. So does every other paper says, coming from the presidency. And then the federal government says the claim of foreign military base in Nigeria is false. So I'd like you to help us understand, because yes, I understand that for it to have come up, maybe there was talks around it, but the federal government said there is nothing like that happening at all. What is the benefit or the disadvantage of having a foreign military base, especially US military base, because I know that at least they have them in so many countries? Having it also in Nigeria, is it a blessing or a curse?
My sister, the idea of having military base in Nigeria may come as a result of our way of thinking towards the global politics. Today, we have a three basic world order. Presently, one, global security order. This global security order, America is the only country that is the sole manager of this global security order. And that's why you see America almost everywhere in the world, having their military base in almost everywhere in the world, coming to tell you they will give you security. If you go, the second order is a global economic order. This global economic order might be bipolar, or it might be bipolar. I can call it bipolar, because if you see the practice of the global economic order, the global economic order is basically the two countries majorly. They are the one in charge of this global economic order, which is America and China. But other countries, they are equally major players in the global economic order. But the more pronounced countries is US and China. And the third global order is global digital order. Global digital order is majorly, even equally majorly controlled by America, but that one is general. That is use of all these Facebook, WhatsApp, TikTok, and all of global digital order. And it's the digital order that you see that today now, the war in America between Russia and the Ukraine, they are talking of a drone. America is not the only country that produce the manufactured drone now. Even Singapore, even Turkey, they are manufacturing drone and supplying drone even to Russia. So America was the sole manager producer of drones. But today, that hegemony in that line is depleted, is going down. Even China manufacture drones today. So global digital order is a general, is an order that almost every country of the world want to be part of. But Nigeria is not seen in this line. Nigeria is not equally seen in even a global economic order. The only thing we have that we said to other part of the country is just oil, crude oil. And now US is having interest in Nigeria because they have cut off economic relationship with Russia. They no longer buy gas from Russia. And so US is having so much interest in Nigeria because of our gas and some other things. So if there's a cry, there's a cry now in Nigeria that US is planning to have a US military base in Nigeria. It's because of the relationship, the alliance in international politics, the major ingredients, the major elements of international politics is alliance formation.
So is it a curse or a blessing to us?
Alliance is in international politics is a blessing in so many ways, and in some ways, a blessing in the sense that the country you form alliance with might be your shade in terms of security.
Right.
You understand? That's one of the strongest benefits of it. And once you have that alliance, you will now technically and in some way have a global power. Because any country that want to come to attack you, want to come and suppress you, will see the country that you have strong alliance with, whether that country have superior power to them, then we know that if we touch this country, this one will come for us, because they have seen your alliance with them. Now Nigeria is building this alliance with the US, meaning no other country, any other country coming to Nigeria to do anything, let's say they are coming to for war with Nigeria, that particular country will have it at the back of its mind that US is there. We cannot just go. Look at that Russia is attacking Ukraine. US have gone. Just some days ago, US released $95 billion aids to different countries of the world that they have alliance with. They have alliance with Ukraine, and Ukraine have $61 billion out of this 95. Israel have $26 billion. Taiwan has $8 billion. What is the interest of US with Taiwan? Because US don't want China to take Taiwan out, to take Taiwan back.
Okay, so let's
now. So I hear you say this military base they are talking about. Maybe the people who are saying this, they are saying it from the perspective of global politics. The way the current administration is going with US, they can stand to say US can come to wash their head that we can give you security umbrella. And if you see the entire Western European countries, they don't even bother themselves about security, because US is the one holding the security umbrella of almost all the countries in the European Union. US is the one holding their security umbrella. You can't dare touch any country within the European Union.
So Richard,
and US don't come after you. So if US have promised that they will give you that security umbrella and you will be free from other countries from attacking you, you can see some other countries, weaker countries who don't have brain, to say they want to stand on their own in terms of military might.
So I ask you again,
yes,
is it a blessing or a curse to us?
It's a curse in one way and it's a blessing in another way. Why is India not taking that part? Why is China not taking that part?
Is it a curse because India is not taking the part?
No, it's a curse because you are not standing up to be strong in the military angle. You are not standing up to use your brain to be strong in economic angle. We have everything that will make us great in Nigeria economically. It's just the mindset and the willpower to harness these resources within. The US, they don't have anything different from, we have more than they have. But we are not utilizing what we have to have economic. If we have economic strength, economic power, there's no how Nigeria will go and be looking for money from any country, say, come and give us loan, come on. If we have that economic power, we can't do that.
All right.
So what we need is to be strong and make sure that we have this economic power. The military power, we can equally have military power. If you go to Ajaokuta Steel Company, Ajaokuta Steel here, no country in the world have the kind of mineral deposit we have that we can use for iron, that we can use to manufacture military hardware. No country in the world have it. What we have in Ajaokuta that we can use. We have uranium. We have many things that will make us great in the military angle. Oh. We are not harnessing them. So why are we running after countries just for shade? Economic shade, military shade. It's not fair. So the military base, if they have it in mind to allow US to bring their military base into Nigeria, I will be of the opinion that it shouldn't happen. We cannot overtie ourselves to US and become their puppet.
The federal government have actually said that it's actually a lie.
Simple, very simple.
All right, let's end the program. Let's have your last word to the presidency, the president, not even the presidency now, the president now. We're looking at 1 year of his administration, and since we're focusing on foreign policy, and I hear you say that they've been good in some parts, but they've not been doing well in some other parts, and since we sat on foreign policy, you said their foreign policy is not anywhere at all. They still have 3 years to go. What are your last words to them?
My last word is that they should take foreign policy very seriously. You cannot even get your internal policies correct if you don't have your foreign policy correct, because the international politics drive even your home policy. Unless you have your international politics correct, you can't get your home policy correct. We should have our ambassadors who will be negotiating on Nigerians' behalf across the globe, who will be playing. See, in international politics, you utilize every opportunity, and for this 1 year, too many opportunities, global opportunities, have slipped our hands. If he comes back from wherever he is, I pray he comes back peacefully. He should come and appoint ambassadors who will be negotiating on our behalf. Right. And secondly, the issue of poverty that is everywhere now. There is neoliberal policy that they are operating. They should take it to a level that will help us. Infrastructure that they are channeling the fuel subsidy that they have removed into, they should step up. It's only in FCT that we have seen that the Minister of FCT is really doing well in infrastructure. The Minister of Works is actually equally doing well in road construction and other things. But other ministers that they are not doing what they are supposed to be doing, he should sack them for this 1 year and appoint people. We have Nigerians who are so committed.
Do you want to mention the ministers?
There are too many. There are too many. Agric department, we are not seeing anything.
Are you seeing anything from power?
Hungry. Power, I can't take it to be his major problem, because already almost everything in the power sector was privatized, was commercialized before he came on board. It's just monitoring that he's doing and trying to negotiate with the people.
How about the Minister of Foreign Affairs? How far is he doing? How far will he say? Since we're talking about foreign policy.
I'm not seeing him doing very well. Like if you see US, their foreign minister is like the Minister of State, the Secretary of State of US, act like foreign minister to the US government. He's almost everywhere. He's the one negotiating with Egypt, negotiating with United Arab Emirates, negotiating with almost all the other countries within this Asia, within the Middle East, the Middle East region, and he has succeeded. Yes. He has succeeded in cornering them to support Israel in the attack against Rafah.
Richard Oriri, we need to go. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful time having this conversation. Most definitely, God will help us. That's what we always say, and that's what we always hear. May God help us, but let us also help ourselves. We've been chatting with Richard Oriri, who is a politician, and we've been talking about Tinubu's government, especially with regards to foreign policy. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm sure you must have been rightly educated, entertained, and informed. I will see you next time. But whatever you do, please stay safe and have a very wonderful night rest. Good evening.